What's up, college football fans? Welcome back to an all-new episode of the Cover 2 College Football Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Smithson, joined, as always, by my co-host, the Okie Longhorn himself, Dalton Chandler. Dalt, first and foremost, as usual, how are we doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. We are in football month. It is officially August. The last time we recorded it was July. We are in August. I have celebrated my birthday. I have celebrated both kids' birthdays. I am ready to get this football season underway.
Just kind of checking off the boxes on the calendar,
Yeah.
I guess you could say. Well, I guess was it your birthday between last episode and this episode?
Yes, it was on
Okay.
Sunday.
Well, happy belated birthday. I told you happy birthday on your birthday, but how old are we now? 45, 50? You
I
don't want to
think
talk
last
about it?
I think the last time I looked at my license, I was 34, but
We were just talking about that today. How our kiddos getting older in school and makes it makes the feeling old kind of start to set in. I'm now turned 30 this year. You're obviously in your early 30s. Yeah, it's part of life. But we're here to talk a little Big 12 football tonight, Dalt. We did our ACC preview last week. Had a lot of fun with that one. We kind of got our feet wet again, getting back in the groove of the pod, and we're going to talk Big 12. Last week we felt kind of like the ACC was a one horse race essentially, and we kind of hinted at it last week. The Big 12 is anything but.
yeah.
It's essentially, as far as the Power Four goes. I mean, I don't know. I would say that the SEC kind of feels wide open, but like you kind of have some teams that you have like separate tiers, whereas the Big 12, it legitimately feels like outside of maybe a couple of teams, anybody could win this conference and they're in the playoff. And so you really just don't see that a lot. You look at the other conferences like the Big Ten, you probably have realistically two, three, four teams maybe that can win that conference. SEC probably the same way. ACC, we kind of feel like there's one, maybe two or three others that could challenge, maybe. But the Big 12, it's just wide open, Dalt.
Yeah, there's legitimately, you go down the list, there's 7 teams that can make a case, if not more, to win the conference. And the biggest thing is you just don't know what you're going to get with the Big 12. There's a lot of uncertainty around a lot of teams that had down years last year, but they hit the portal real hard, got the bad out, think they brought good in. And then you've got teams that were good in the conference last year that lost some key pieces, and you just don't know if those key pieces are going to be what brought them last year or if they were just good and those key pieces just shined on a good team.
Right. And, there's several storylines kind of going into the season for the Big 12. Uh, you know, you have Deion Sanders still at Colorado, and you kind of start this new era for them without Travis Hunter and Shadur, and you kind of don't really know where it's going to go from there. Deion's had his health issues. You have some new coaches, Rich Rodriguez and Scott Frost, um, both back
Back at their
at
former
schools,
school.
right? Back at schools that they've been at before. You don't know how that's going to work out. And then kind of close to home for us, Dalt, you have Oklahoma State, who a lot of people thought was going to be really good last year, and they were just horrible. And you kind of feel like Mike Gundy, we've talked about it, he's set up for like that prime 10-2 season that comes out of nowhere that makes everybody realize, okay, yeah, this is why we don't fire this guy at Oklahoma State. And uh, you talk about we don't have a media poll because Brett Yormark and honestly I can't blame him. I guess Dalton. We can get kind of right into things here. Um, what we're going to do instead of talking about a media poll like we typically do with our season prediction episodes, we're just going to kind of touch on the teams that made the coaches poll because the Big 12 does not do a media poll anymore because the last couple of years teams that have been picked towards the bottom or at the very bottom have won or challenged for the conference championship. And I don't necessarily disagree in the sense with Brett Yormark kind of thinking it hurts them in the long run with the playoff standings and seedings and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just a media poll. Like, does the committee really care about any of that come November, early December? I don't know.
They got a top 4 seed in last year's college football playoff. Now, is that going to be a different thing now? Because I believe Arizona State finished ranked like 13th, is what it was in the last college football playoff poll. So that would now make them the 11 seed. To
Right.
whereas before the conference champions would get a bye and now they don't. So it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, Arizona State come out of nowhere.
Oh, sure.
If that would have been Kansas State or Iowa State that went, or Oklahoma State, I believe Arizona State went what, 10-2 last year?
Yeah, I think so.
If Oklahoma State, Kansas State, or Iowa State would have went 10-2, you probably would have got a better ranking for them. But
Sure.
at the same time, it's Arizona State, not one of those other teams that have been there. I don't think that the media poll was the killing factor there. I think it was the fact that Arizona State just kind of didn't really beat anybody soundly enough to where you were like, they're really good. They had a lot of games where it was like skin of your teeth, skin of your teeth, skin of your teeth.
Right. And I think the kind of way that you should probably look at it is, let's be honest, the Big 12 is probably at the most going to get 2 teams. Like, it would be on a really good year. Like, it's just not a league that's probably going to get 3 or more teams.
Well,
Unless
no, it's going to eat itself.
and then just, there's just not any big brands, and people can say what they want about that stuff and have an opinion on it, and I don't disagree with some of it, but it's just the way that it is. I there's nothing anybody can do about it, and so you're going to get your conference champion in, and I mean, frankly, the best case scenario would be for the Big 12 is if you have a team run the table, and then I don't know, Yormark slide them some money and say, hey, throw this championship game. And you're getting probably 2 teams in because they're not going to leave out like kind of the TCU situation from a few years ago, because that's just not going to happen. But and obviously that would never, like, you would never throw the game on purpose just to get more teams in the playoff. I would think, but who knows? And in college football today, I guess you don't know. But
with the way Texas Tech's recruiting right now, they'll take any money you give them.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, the Big 12, it's going to be kind of fun to see where we're at on this conference. I feel like last year we both felt pretty good about some of our picks, and man, I mean,
damn,
I think we both picked Arizona State to be the worst team.
That's back-to-back years when we've done that with the worst team. We were a year early on the Neil Brown firing.
And then I think we both picked Oklahoma State to win the conference, and they were arguably the worst team, went 0-9 in conference play. So, I'd like to say we know ball, Dalt, but it doesn't.
We don't know Big 12 ball.
This conference just doesn't make sense. It's like, I don't know. It's madness. But real quick, let's touch on these teams that made it in the coaches poll. I'll just read these off real quick. It's kind of irrelevant, but in the coaches poll, which came out early this week, Monday, Tuesday this week, you had Arizona State at 11, Kansas State at 20, and then Iowa State, BYU, and Texas Tech were 22, 23, and 24. So you got 5 teams in the coaches poll. We'll get an AP poll, I believe, not next week, but I think the week after that. So I'll be interested to see. I don't think BYU should be in the top 25 of the coaches poll. I don't, and frankly, don't know that Texas Tech should either. The other 3 I'm okay with. And honestly, I think Arizona State's probably going to take a bit of a step back. but I can see why they're ranked in the coaches poll coming off their year that they had. I mean, does this do anything for you? Move the needle at all?
So I've done a lot of digging on this Big 12 preview just because, like we said, we're out of touch with what the Big 12 is now. And everything I see, everybody's just like, I feel good about BYU even without Retzloff. And I'm just like, how can you feel good about losing your starting quarterback in the spring? Or not even really spring, it was late spring. And everybody's like, just trust Kalani. And to an extent, I do. He's a very good coach, and he does get the most out of his guys. But convincing me that BYU is going to be a good team after losing Retzlaff, you're going to have to really show me something. And in the preseason, you can't show me that. Another team I'm hearing a lot about is Baylor. And I don't know what the buzz is behind Baylor either.
Yeah, I was when I made the kind of rundown for the show, I was kind of going over these over unders, and I was kind of shocked at how many were at 7.5. So you're teetering on that 7 to 8 win range, and there's 5 teams, and Baylor was one of them, and frankly, Dave Aranda has had some success. Obviously, won the Big 12 championship a couple of years ago, but they just were not very good a year ago. And I mean, has Baylor really done anything for you to, like you said, to make you think that, hey, look at, like, I've heard a lot of people talking about, I think it's week 1 or 2, the Auburn Baylor game, like being a big kind of huge game for both of those teams, which I can see it being a big game for both of those teams, but like, is that game really going to be relevant to the national college football discussion? Like, I don't know why it would be, unless you think Baylor is going to be a possible contender in the Big 12, which it seems like some people do. And then the same kind of thing with Auburn. You have no idea what you have there. But there's a lot of storylines, Dalt, and as far as these teams that are ranked, I kind of said my piece. I don't understand BYU and Tech. Obviously, we're going to kind of get into all these teams a little bit more as we go down these over unders, but it's
as much as it pains me to say this, I get the hype behind Tech. You bring back Baron Morton, and not only do you have a decent recruiting class last year, you bring in the number 1 transfer portal class. When you're going through here, you're just looking, there's a lot of pieces that are going to make sudden impacts on this Texas Tech team. But me and you both know Texas Tech's going to Texas Tech. It's
sure.
not like saying, oh man, Georgia had the number 1 recruiting class. You know what you're going to get from them. Texas Tech was supposed to be in the hunt for the league every year, and they've never played for a conference championship in the Big 12. The last time they were even in contention for the conference championship was 2008.
So here's what, and not to use other stuff, but like, I just on my computer, I have ESPN pulled up, and they have Arizona State as their pick to win the conference back in the, like, they have kind of a thing for the playoff outlook, and like they have these teams that they think are in the running, and then you have these teams that are long shots that I don't really know that I see much of a difference. Like, you have teams that they have in the running, like Colorado and BYU. Why? I don't. And then long shots. You have. I mean, who's the biggest brand in the Big 12, Dalt? It's got to be Oklahoma State.
It has to
right?
be Oklahoma State or Kansas State. And
So
I would say Oklahoma State's a bigger brand than Kansas State.
I don't think that you would ever call Oklahoma State a long shot to make the playoff. Like they have one, if not probably the longest tenured coach in the conference. I guess Whittingham's still at
Whittingham,
Utah,
but he's
so
stepping.
I
This
think
is last year.
so. I mean, I just don't know that I agree with that. But you have like Colorado. Everybody's high on they bring in the oh, what's the dude's name? The freshman quarterback that they signed. Um, was it the Lewis kid, Julian? What wasn't that his name?
Julian Lewis. Yes.
And so then they get the transfer from Liberty, the Salter kid, who I've watched plenty of, and kid's a really nice player, but like he just really doesn't do it for me. Like I don't think that guy's a championship quarterback. And
No, I don't either. I would almost rather see the Julian Lewis kid get burned than I would Caden Salters.
but you have just a lot of teams that what's Houston going to be?
They got a good quarterback and a good
They
coach.
they get the Wegman kid from A&M, and this is Willie Fritz
Second year.
second year. So you like to imagine. I mean, Willie Fritz has won everywhere he's been, and he's got decent resources at Houston, obviously. So you have to imagine that they're going to improve. I think Utah is a major question mark because you kind of finally we're moving on from Cam Rising, right?
Yes.
So we're done there.
Yeah. New
I,
quarterback.
I look across the conference and I think the team that I mean you have the Levitt kid at Arizona State, and then I would probably say Rocco Becht at Iowa State. I think those are probably the two best quarterbacks in the league.
You got Avery Johnson.
Avery Johnson at K State. I still am not really all in on him, but
the new kid,
I guess
new
you
up and coming
have
Furry at TCU now.
the Daniels kid is back at Kansas, right?
Jalen Daniels, yes.
So
riddle me this, like just not to cut you off,
no,
but
you're fine. Go ahead.
top to bottom, is the Big 12 the most solid quarterback conference this year?
I mean, as far as experience and like
Yes.
good quality guys, I would say absolutely. As far as the Power Four is concerned, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, because those guys we just named that have been starters for 2 or more years, and on top of like Colorado brought in the kid from Liberty, and Houston brought in the Wegman kid. UCF has KJ Jefferson, right?
They got yep. No. I thought he went back to Arkansas.
Did he?
I think he did.
And
he might have stayed. Hold on. Let me confirm that. But I could have swore that he went back, or maybe he did.
And then you have Noah Fafita is still at Arizona. Now, they've obviously kind of fallen off a cliff since what was his name? Jed Fish, right? Since he left. But I would probably agree with that. I think that as far as top to bottom, I don't necessarily know that there is an elite
KJ Jefferson is still at UCF.
Okay. So I don't necessarily know that there is a elite quarterback. I really like the Levitt kid at Arizona State. Looked really good in the playoff last year. You got to see plenty of him, obviously. And I think they had a young receiver last year that'll be back. I think that was a freshman,
Jordan Tyson,
and so
he was hurt last year in the playoffs.
You look at it, it's just hard to predict, Dalt. So I mean, we can kind of get into these over unders, kind of talk more about these teams specifically, because I just don't. It's just hard to say. I mean, this conference, it's wide open. We're obviously going to make our predictions tonight or later tonight and pick, who's worst team, surprise team, disappointing team, and I just don't know. I really don't know. But if you want to get into these over unders, we can not necessarily pick each and every one of them, but we can kind of go through it in groups here if you want to do it that way. We were kind of scattered last week, and so we'll just kind of start from the top, and we'll do like this group that basically talk about each team that has the same over under. And so, kind of our first tier, you have Texas Tech, Kansas State, and Arizona State at 8.5 as the over under. So right on that 8-9 win mark, and try to pull up a. You got schedules in front of you.
Yep. I can. Yep. I got a handful of them. Kind of the big ones. So we'll just start with Texas Tech since they're at the top of our list. It's a pretty gettable schedule. You have to go to Utah, to Houston, to Arizona State, and to Kansas State. But you miss Iowa State. You get Oklahoma State at home, you get BYU at home, and you get Kansas at home. Your out of conference is pretty bad. You get Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Kent State, and Oregon State all at home.
So
getting to 9 wins though, and telling me to trust Texas Tech to win 9 games with this schedule,
yeah,
that's tough. Like, I want to think that the hype's real, and I want to think that bringing in the transfer portal class that you did is going to help. But this just has letdowns written all over it.
No, not Texas Tech.
I mean, you just
the guy with the Texas hoodie on and the Texas hat on is telling me that Texas Tech's going to let down. Is that what I'm hearing?
It's not so much that I'm a Texas fan. It's just you can't trust Texas Tech. Even as an OU fan, you're going to say you don't trust.
For the record, I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't take the over here. I could see 8-4.
I mean, I could easily see 8-4, but at the same time, I could see 10-2.
Right.
It's just,
yeah. I mean, you have, we talked this group of teams. Texas Tech goes to Arizona State and Kansas State.
Yes.
So probably 2 toughest games on the schedule. I kind of would lean under here. If I was going to bet this one, I would probably take the under as far as that schedule is concerned. Now, again, I'm not trying to get on here. We're not trying to get on here and crap on Texas Tech as much fun as it is at times, but I think I would go under. But what about these other two? Kansas State, Arizona State. What do you think? You got obviously experienced quarterback play coming back, 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league. You have what we both believe to be really good head coaches in Chris Kleiman and Kenny Dillingham. And so, I think one of these teams is probably hitting the over, because you have to imagine somebody's going to kind of separate, right?
Yeah. And just looking at the schedules, it's more than likely going to be Arizona State is going to probably hit the over. If you just had to ask me, they have to go to Mississippi State, but how tough a game is that going to be? You get Texas State and NAU, whoever the world that is. You have to go to Baylor. You get Texas Tech at home. And you have to go to Iowa State, and you get Houston at home. To me, they have a tougher schedule, but I'm more inclined to trust Arizona State than I am Tech with a tougher schedule.
Yeah.
The defense, Arizona State brings back a lot of production from last year. Well, I should say production, a lot of starters from last year. You do lose a majority of your production in Cam Scatabo. Sam Levitt, I looked up his stats right as we were talking about how the quarterbacks. He didn't have a great year last year. 2,400 yards, I think 24 touchdowns and like 6 interceptions, which is serviceable. But that's obviously shows you how much Cam Scatterbo meant to this team.
Right.
So my hold up with that is if he is if he was the only piece that made that team go last year, they're in trouble.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't replace a guy like him. Kansas State is going to be good up front on defense and offense. They always are. Avery Johnson's a freak athlete, and Dylan Edwards is lightning in a bottle. You don't know what you're going to get at wide receiver from Kansas State. How much are they going to use that? We don't know, but I don't know. It's one of them things where the schedule probably tells me Arizona State, but my heart tells me that Kansas State's probably going to hit the over, and Arizona State's liable to go 8-4.
Yeah, it's kind of who do you ultimately trust more, and do you feel like I wouldn't say that I feel like the Arizona State was a flash in the pan because you know me, I really like Kenny Dillingham a lot, but I think Kleiman at Kansas State just is a little bit more embedded there and has had more success. Obviously, Kenny Dillingham walked into a disaster at Arizona State and kind of did the unthinkable last year. I mean, he took a program that had been one of the worst in the power conferences to a conference championship and the cusp of a semifinal or whatever it would have been. I guess quarterfinal, semifinal.
Yep,
And
semifinal. No,
you know,
quarterfinal.
either way, he almost got a playoff win in what, year 2, right?
Yes.
And so I like Arizona State, but I kind of am in agreement with you. I would lean Kansas State, and kind of just it's just hard to trust. But we'll move on, Dalton. We've got a group here of 7.5 as far as the over under goes. A few more teams here. A couple of these I kind of would like probably, and then a couple I'm saying no shot probably. But you got BYU, Utah, Kansas, Iowa State, and Baylor, all 5 at 7.5. And so I'll ask you this, Dalt: which one of these teams do you think is a surefire under, if you had to pick?
Kansas.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I was on the Kansas train last year. I thought they had everything in front of them. They had a great running back. They had a really good quarterback. They had a really good tight end. They had weapons on the outside that could go, and they got off to a almost snail start. I believe they dropped 2 of their first 3 games, and then didn't really get rolling until week, I think it was like 8 or 9, when they kind of rattled off some wins. Usually momentum like that doesn't carry over when you don't have a bowl game and you don't play, and then through spring when you lose your best running back, your 2 best running backs, because I believe Highshaw left as well. But to me, Kansas just you lost. I lost my faith in Kansas last year. I want to believe in Leipold, but you're not going to convince me that Jalen Daniels is an elite quarterback again. Like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So to me, Kansas is probably going to be the one that stumbles. I know they got their football stadium remodel done, and the booth is going to be immaculate for what Kansas football is, but congratulations on probably going 7-5, 6-6.
Oh man, talk about a heel turn. I wasn't expecting. If I had to pick one, I would go BYU because I know you have obviously the long tenured coach, but you have the situation with the Retzloff kid, and obviously he is no longer their quarterback, and he's a guy that I liked a lot last year as a freshman. I thought he looked really good at times, and BYU was kind of a surprise, I would say. Um, Obviously, they weren't really good, but they were a solid team last year. But I don't know. I would probably say under. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I could see them going 7-5.
So they go Portland State, Stanford. I think both of those are going to be wins. At East Carolina, you never know what you're going to get out there. At Colorado, West Virginia at home, at Arizona, Utah at home, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, TCU at home, at Cincinnati, UCF at home to finish the year.
I mean, am I crazy? You disagree?
I trust them to get to 8-4 more than I would Kansas, is what I'm saying. I think that 7-5 is really, really doable for them. Hell, 5-7 is really, really doable for them. What I like is they're going to get probably 3 non-conference wins, and they do play a handful of the bottom of the conference. I mean,
Yeah.
Colorado, West Virginia is probably not going to be very good in Rich Rod's first year. Arizona's lost their best weapon, and they sucked last year. Cincinnati and UCF, how good are they going to be? I mean, right there's 7 wins, maybe 8. I mean, that's just they're going to be cusp, but I would trust them to get to it before I would trust Kansas to get to it.
And so then, if I guess on the opposite end here, if you had to pick one of those teams that you would think is a surefire on the over,
We're both going to say the same team.
Iowa
It's
State.
Iowa State.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, stamp it every year. I mean, why are they so low? I know they play Kansas State in the non-con. Like that's a tough game, but it's not a game that they can't win. I mean, it's Farmageddon.
Isn't that just bizarre that's
It's last year Utah played Baylor.
it's wild to me. Just I don't know. Yeah, I agree. I think you look at Iowa State and they look. I mean, probably talk about them a little bit later in the show. If I'm being honest, I just think that that's a team that brings back one of the better quarterbacks in the conference. I think Matt Campbell. The guy is he's an interesting character. He's got a lot of vitriol, and it just kind of feels like Iowa State's always better, Dalton, when not a lot is expected, and so you kind of get worrisome because I think a lot of people do kind of like the Cyclones this year, but they're not getting some of the hype that they got the Brock Purdy year when everybody they went and beat Oregon in their bowl game, and everybody was ready to pick them to win the Big 12 and make the playoff that next year, and they ended up going like 7-5. So I would agree with you here. I like Iowa State on the over there. I think pretty easily. So do you have anything more you want to touch? I mean, Utah kind of interesting at 7.5. Like, I mean, do you have their schedule?
Yeah, I got them in BYU schedule right here side by side. So they start the year with UCLA at UCLA. I mean, we don't know what UCLA is going to be. They do get one of the more talented quarterbacks out of the portal. And then I believe this is some random school. It's kind of blurry and I can't see, but I think it's a Division II school. They should win that. Wyoming at Wyoming. Ask Texas Tech what it feels like to go to at Wyoming. Like I said, letdown. At home against Tech, at West Virginia, at home against Arizona State, at BYU, home against Colorado, home against Cincinnati. at Baylor, home against Kansas State, at Kansas. I lied. I think that Kansas State Iowa State game in week 1 is a conference game. Everybody else only has 3 non-conference opponents.
Okay. I mean, it would make sense. Yeah, it says right here. I've got this on the Big 12 website. It does have that game, and it's got conference in parentheses. So that is a conference game. Week 1. Wow.
That's interesting.
Welcome to it.
Yeah. Who's got a leg up and who doesn't for the first weekend?
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Hey, I look at it this way. At least we have a potential top 25 matchup for a week 0 game. That's nice.
Is that what that is?
Yeah,
That
that's
is
week
week
0.
0.
It's in
Holy
Dublin.
shit.
That's the Ireland game.
What?
Yeah, let's go have a bunch of drunk Irish get involved with Farmageddon, Dalt. I mean, what could go wrong? It's honestly like it's one and the
Why are we
same.
doing this?
It's one and the same. I mean,
Why are we going overseas and playing football? Like, I get the NFL. I get that whole deal. Like, whatever. Sure. But you're going to tell me in Dublin, Ireland, there's just a handful of fucking Kansas State and Iowa State fans just
yeah,
ready to go out there. And I mean, don't get me wrong, the Irish don't really need a reason to drink, but they're not going to turn one down.
well, yeah, they don't ever have to have. They don't even want a reason to drink. No, it's just what they do.
But yeah, why? I don't understand that. You're taking away one of your biggest rivalries from your home fans by going and playing it in another country.
Yeah, I don't love it, but kind of back to Utah. I look at the schedule here, Dalton. I don't know. They get Tech at home. They get Arizona State at home, like you said. They get K-State at home. But I mean, so they got to play all those teams, but they get them all at home.
Yeah.
So I mean, that helps. I don't know that I would hate the over on that one. You just don't know what the quarterback situation is.
Well, you don't know who's going to be quarterback. You don't know if it's going to be Dampier or the kid that backed up.
Yeah,
that played as a freshman last year.
I can't think of his name.
I can't either.
Okay, let's move on.
Doesn't matter. Move on to these 6 and 5 teams.
We're going to move on to our group of 6.5ers, Dalt. We've got TCU, Colorado, and Cincinnati. And I'll just kind of do the same thing. This one's probably a little tougher. I mean, I have to look at the schedules, but 6.5. Who do you like? Who do you not like here? Let me look at
TCU's got a really talented quarterback. Colorado's going to have the Salters kid. If I was going to say that who I didn't like in this, it's Cincinnati. I know that
I'm looking. Cincinnati's got Nebraska week 1.
That's a loss. You're not beating Nebraska.
Which it's not a home game. They are considered the home team. That game is going to be played in Kansas City, Missouri. Outside of that, the non-conference is pretty weak. They've got Bowling Green and Northwestern State. They go to Kansas. They get Iowa State at home, UCF at home, at OSU, Baylor at home, at Utah, Arizona and BYU at home, and then at TCU. So I don't know, Dalt. I don't hate the schedule. They don't play Kansas State. They don't play Arizona State. They don't play Tech. Really, the only team that I feel like a real title contender in the conference that they play is Iowa State. But when you probably are looking at a non-con loss, it is hard to say, yeah, I think they're going to go 7-5.
Yeah. And then you're picked above, your win total is above or even with, you have to play. Kansas has a higher win total than you. Iowa State has a higher win total than you. UCF's lower. Oklahoma State's lower, but what are you going to get with them? Baylor is above you. Utah's above you. Arizona's going to be the worst team in the conference, probably. BYU's above you, and TCU's on the same level as you. So it's not like you're getting the benefit of the doubt, like, oh, you're not playing Kansas State, Arizona State, or Tech, but you're still playing teams that are probably more than likely better than you.
Yeah, I mean, I just ran down that schedule and I picked 6-6 in my mind. So I would probably would that would be the team that you would say you probably would pick for the under.
Yeah, out of those, yes, more than likely that would be my under team.
So who between
just because the unknown of what you have up there.
So what do you think about Colorado? They get to 7. They get Georgia Tech at home, week 1.
That's a loss.
That's probably a loss. Delaware at Houston, Wyoming at home, and then BYU at home, at TCU, Iowa State at home, at Utah, Arizona, at West Virginia, Arizona State. Dang.
Nope.
They got to go to West Virginia, and then they get Arizona State at home, and then got to go to Kansas State. Like, not that I think
finish the year.
To finish the year, not that I think West Virginia is going to be very good, but to make that road trip and then follow the next 2 weeks up, which they have a bye between West Virginia and Arizona State, so that helps. I just noticed that, so that's a plus.
I'm about to raise up my fingers on how many wins I just counted for them. Are you ready for this? And they have to get to 7.
Have to get to 7. We got them going 4-8. Okay.
Yeah. So
I mean,
out of these teams, if I had to pick one to go 7-5, it's TCU, and they have to play SMU in the non-conference.
Yeah, I think I might like the under on all 3 of them.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Like, I think TCU is probably your best bet. I would agree with that. But like Colorado and Cincinnati, it's maybe a good year if we get to 6-6, fellas.
Yeah.
Like it's maybe hey, we did our best, and then it's okay. We're going bowling.
I gave Houston the benefit of the doubt of beating them, but at the end of the day, that gives them 5 wins.
Yeah. So you got them, I assume, beating Delaware, Wyoming, Arizona, and West Virginia. Yeah, I wouldn't totally disagree with that because I don't think they're beating Iowa State. They're not beating Arizona State or Kansas State.
Hell no.
Probably not going to Utah and winning that game.
Nope.
TCU, I doubt it.
Nope.
As bad as I don't think BYU is going to be that good, but I think they're going to be better than Colorado. And I don't know. Colorado's just interesting, Dalt, because you just have so much newness with – it's kind of was the end of an era. Not that it was much of an era, but like, how invested is Dion going to be? Like, I hate to say that, but like he did so much of it for Shedeur, and then Travis was like another son to him, obviously, and they're gone. Like, I'm not saying like he's the ultimate competitor. Like, obviously he's going to coach to win. And you like to think Colorado's not, I don't know, 4-8 would be. You hate to think about firing Deion Sanders, but 4-8, man, seat would have to start to get warm, I would think, because the schedule's not just brutal. It's not easy.
No,
but it's not brutal.
I mean, it's brutal because you do have to play Iowa State, Kansas State, and Arizona State. But, man, Shedeur was a really good college quarterback. Travis Hunter was a generational college football player. Going to be a generational player in the NFL. Just an absolute freak. And they're gone.
Yeah.
You don't replace that. Now you're going to have a bad line, a not as good quarterback, and you lose the most electric weapon on your offense. Don't get me wrong. I know there's still good, talented athletes there because that's what he attracts. but your defense got ran through, like Nick Saban would say, like shit through a tin horn. So I'm
It's not
sorry.
good. It's not
I'm
good.
sorry if me picking you to go 4-8 hurt your feelings, but to be fair, the last 2 years of Dion's seasons, I've picked the over with Colorado and been right. So I might be spot on with Colorado.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, let's move on to this final group, Dalt, and then we will get into our predictions. We've got 5 teams here. Over under is at 5.5, and I'm going to look into the schedule. But honestly, one of them I'm a little shocked by because I just think that it's there. I just do. But we've got Houston, West Virginia, Oklahoma State, UCF, and Arizona. Over under at 5.5. Dalt, I'll ask you, I'll throw a little wrench in it. Are any of these teams under? Are all of them under? Multiple? Who do you like under here?
If I had to pick one and just had to pick one, it would be Arizona and maybe West Virginia.
Yeah, I was thinking West Virginia.
I mean, you don't just, I don't know. It's
Okay, so Arizona, I'll just read Arizona's schedule. We got 5.5. Okay. So we're probably starting 2-0. We're Hawaii and Weber State at home. Then we have Kansas State at home. Probably a loss. Going to Iowa State, probably a loss.
2-2.
Oklahoma State comes to town. I would say right now I'd pick Oklahoma State.
I would too. I would trust Mike Gundy over
Okay,
whoever
so
the
then
hell's the head coach at Arizona.
that puts us at 2-3.
Yep.
So then we got 3-game skid. BYU comes to town.
Bye. Yep. You lose that.
I think you probably lose that one. Then you go to Houston. I think that's probably a winnable game, but
you're going to lose it.
very losable as well.
Yeah.
So we're at what, 2-5 now?
2-5.
At Colorado. I'd
You
probably
could
pick
win. You could win that, but I'd still pick Colorado.
Yeah.
I think they got better athletes than Arizona does.
Kansas at home, losing.
Picking Kansas.
At Cincinnati is probably a winnable game, but I'd probably lean Cincinnati. I mean, Baylor.
I'll give them Cincinnati because it's at home, but we're already at 7 losses.
No. But it's at Cincinnati.
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 Then never mind.
Sorry.
Never mind. Yeah.
At Cincinnati. And then we finish with Baylor comes to town, and then they go to Arizona in Tempe. Yeah, I'd probably hammer the under here. I don't think Arizona's gonna be very good.
No, I mean you're looking at 3-9.
Yeah.
Maybe 2-10.
Yeah, I mean I might take 4. I might if the over under was 4.5, I'd probably take the under.
Yeah.
Because I mean, which I was looking at it. Who? One of these Big 12 games is a non-conference, right? It's got to be. Yeah, the Kansas State game is a non-conference game
With Arizona?
Yes. Which that was the same case last year.
Yeah.
They played each other, and that was the same because the games were already scheduled.
Yeah. Same thing with the 2-year skid of Utah and Baylor.
So let's just throw it over to Oklahoma State, Dalt. I think we both like the over here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
you're starting 1-1. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're not beating Oregon.
You're not going to Eugene and beating Oregon. But then you get Tulsa at home, should be a win.
Yeah.
You get Baylor at home. I think you're every bit as good as Baylor should be.
Yeah, but I think Baylor will be better. So I'll give them the loss there just to.
Okay, so we're 2-2.
Play devil's advocate.
They're going to beat Arizona.
Yeah.
Should beat Houston. I think.
Yeah.
Cincinnati's winnable.
Yes, I would say you beat Cincinnati. There's 4.
At Tech,
Probably not making that one out alive.
at Kansas.
Should win that. Going to be tough.
Then we get Kansas State at home.
Not winning that.
There's a bye week between those two games.
Give me 2 bye weeks. It doesn't matter.
And then we go to UCF and finish with Iowa State at home.
I got 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could see them going 7 and 5.
Yeah.
Because I think some of these games are total toss-ups. Like, I think they could beat Baylor. They get them at home. But I think Baylor could beat them just as easily. I think they should be better than Arizona. They should be every bit as good as Houston and Cincinnati. But, you look at games like Tech and Kansas, if they had them if they had one of those games at home, I would maybe say, yeah, I could see them, those two teams might be better than them, but, I could see Oklahoma State getting them at home. And maybe you could say that about Kansas State, but I just think Kansas State's a cut above Oklahoma State right now.
Yep.
And then, maybe Iowa State even. But I don't think I'd feel comfortable. So I like 7 and 5. And we've talked about it, Dalt. We're in prime Gundy position. There are legitimately, I say this, we're going to make our Oklahoma State fans, we have several Oklahoma State fans that listen to the pod. Oklahoma State has expectations, and Gundy has created that. And that's good. But obviously coming off last year, you still probably don't feel great at the quarterback position. You maybe feel a little bit better than you did last year because, frankly, I think we both agree Alan Bowman was a liability.
He's terrible. He's dog shit.
And,
he was 40 years old and shot the football across the field.
They've done some decent things in the portal. So I think they should be better. And you have to imagine they go 3-9. There's not any expectations. Like,
no.
Nothing major. Like, I think every Oklahoma State fan would say, "Oh yeah, we definitely should be better than that." But like, what's realistic here? I don't really know. You have new coordinators on both sides of the football, correct?
Yes.
You bring in a new defensive coordinator in what is his name? I'm totally blank. He was with the Saints. I got a guy, and then you bring in the Meacham guy as your OC, who spent years at TCU and was really good. And the hires weren't just, you didn't rant and rave about them, but I think they're better off than they were a year ago, without question.
Yeah,
like everybody's ready to put Casey Dunn on a stake, and then same thing with the what was it, like the NAIA Division III defensive coordinator
who was supposed to come in and not miss a beat with what Mike Norvell or Jim Knowles left him. Right. He ran the same system, so it's got to be the same thing.
Did not work.
No, it did not.
Did not work. But I like Oklahoma State on the over here. Any of these other teams, Dalt? I mean, we can look at the schedules like Houston.
So Houston, very, very, very intriguing.
Okay.
The non-conference, very gettable.
Yeah.
Start at Rice. They're going to be better than Rice. Colorado at home.
Stephen F. Austin, you missed.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Stephen F. Austin. I was too far down.
So 2-0. They should start 2-0.
Colorado at home. I think they're going to beat Colorado.
Yeah. There's a good chance.
At Oregon State. I don't see why they couldn't win that.
So yeah, they're 4-0 going into that Tech game. They
get Tech at home. Not that Houston's a tough place to play, but I know how Texas Tech is. I'm just going to count that as a loss. You go to Oklahoma State. You could win that. You could win that. You could lose that. Arizona at home. You're going to beat Arizona. You have to go to Arizona State. That you're going to lose that game. Probably more than likely going to lose that game. Come back. Should beat West Virginia at home. Go to UCF. I don't think UCF's going to be world beaters. Another toss-up game. You come back, you get TCU at home, and then you go to Baylor. Those final two games are going to be what kind of decides it. If you're, I think you're safe at the over at 6-6, but I think there's a real possibility that Houston goes 8-4, maybe 9-3, if the chips fall the right way.
I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking like there's I mean, if they start 4-0, I think they have a great chance to go 8-4, 9-3. So that game in Oregon State's obviously big, and you know Oregon State kind of the forgotten child of college football with Washington State. But you know that's a winnable game, and we talked about this. You look at the schedule. They get the Wagman kid at quarterback, who we both think is a good player. He's not a superstar, but he's a good player. And so you got a better quarterback in your first probably 3 games for sure. I mean, Colorado may be a toss up if the Salter kids plays, but you're going to have a better quarterback than Oregon State. I think Wagman's just as good as the Morton kid at Tech. Right? Would you agree?
Yeah.
He's going to be better than whoever Oklahoma State has. He's not as good as Fafita, but
Fafita doesn't have anything.
Exactly. And so then you get to Arizona State, Leavitt's better.
Yeah.
But then you're going to be better than West Virginia. You're going to be better than UCF. You're going to be better than TCU. And I think you're better than Baylor at that position. So, like, you have the quarterback advantage in, what was that, 9 out of 12 games? Like, this team doesn't play Kansas State. They don't play Iowa State.
Nope.
They get Tech at home. They don't play Kansas.
They don't play BYU.
No Utah.
Yeah.
Like they don't really have any travel because they get West Virginia at home. Like they do got to go to Arizona State, but that's not bad from Houston. Like
no.
I mean their furthest obviously they go to Corvallis, but I mean that's a non-conference. But outside of that they leave Texas only 2-3 other times.
Yep. I guess going to Orlando.
Yeah. That's a haul.
Not if you fly it straight over the ocean.
Yeah.
Not over the Gulf of America.
Gulf of America. What a time. All right,
I am just plugging the Trump shit these last 2 episodes.
You got any thoughts? We didn't really touch on Arizona, UCF, West Virginia. I mean,
I think those are probably going to be your bottom 3 teams.
You have West Virginia and UCF, who we touched on earlier, bringing back old faces to familiar places. I don't hate the Scott Frost and KJ Jefferson combo, but like I don't even think it's a foregone conclusion that KJ Jefferson's going to be their starting quarterback from some of the stuff that I've read. And then West Virginia, you just have no idea. You can't have very high expectations.
And it's going to be tough for them playing Pitt in the non-conference in the backyard brawl to get to 6 wins.
For fun. Well, it's for funsies. We got our predictions. We're still not even at it. We're just before an hour here. Let's just see. So
who are you looking at? West Virginia?
West Virginia.
Okay, I'll pull up UCF. Arizona's going to suck. Who gives a shit about them?
So they go to Kansas, Utah, BYU over the course of 3 weeks.
It's a long haul from West Virginia.
I mean, I don't hate the schedule. I mean, I think they start 2-0, probably lose to Pitt, which not that I think we didn't talk much about Pittsburgh last week, but I don't think Pitt's.
I thought Pitt was going to I said that I thought Pitt was going to be better than most people thought they were going to be.
You didn't have them as your sleeper, did you? I don't think you did.
I don't think I did either.
So let's see. Let's say 2-1, 2-2, 2-3, 2-4. Just so they beat they beat UCF. 3-4. I think they could beat TCU at home. 4-4 at Houston. I'd pick them to lose. So 4-5. Colorado at home. I might pick them to win. So that's 5-5 with 2 to play. Arizona State and Tech.
Bag. Just got to get one, boys.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm taking the under on the Mountaineers, buddy.
So I had
to talk myself into a few of those wins to get to 5, so I don't love it at all.
So UCF starts with Jacksonville State. In North Carolina A&T should be 2-0. Then they get North Carolina at home. That's 2 teams that you don't know what the hell you're going to get. Then they go to Kansas State, Kansas at home, at Cincinnati, West Virginia at home, at Baylor, Houston at home, at Tech, Oklahoma State at home, and then at BYU to finish the year. So let's just say they start 3-0 in the non-conference. Maybe West Virginia, but you just gave West Virginia a win against UCF.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably take the under here. I'd say 5-7. I mean, maybe 4-8.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you look at, like you said, 3-0. They're gonna if they go 3-0, they're probably gonna go straight to 3-3 from that point.
Yep.
At the best, 4-2 if they were to beat Cincinnati. And then let's just say West Virginia did beat them 4-3, so that they lose or win one of those 2 games. But then I don't think they're beating Baylor. I don't know that I'd pick them against Houston, and they're not beating Tech. I think Oklahoma State's beating them, and then they're not going to BYU and beating BYU. So yeah, 4-8, 5-7 would be my pick there. So I'd go under on that one. So, yeah. All right, Dalt. Make our predictions. Get the heck out of here. I will throw it to you first. Who's your worst team? I feel like we're probably on the same page here, maybe.
I think it's Arizona. I think I just Noah Fafita's a great quarterback. He should have transferred. He probably would have got picked up by a really good team and probably made somebody really, really good. But you stayed where you're at, and you don't have the weapons to compete. So you couldn't win games with a 6'6" monster wide receiver that went top 10 in the draft. You're not going to do it without him.
Yeah, I think they're going to go 3-9, and I completely agree with you. I just don't. I'm not sold on the head coach situation because they just promoted, right, the OC.
Mm-hmm.
And
him up when Jeff Fish left.
I like Fafita a lot, but I agree with you. I think he should have. You hate to say go get go to greener pastures, but that's kind of the world we live in, man. And you're 2 years ago were the talk of college football when Arizona State they go 10-3 and win the Alamo Bowl, and everything's kind of crumbled since then with Fish leaving and just some of the turnover there. But I just looked at the schedule again, and this team I think is going to struggle to get to 4 wins. Like and I don't even know that getting to 3 is going to be easy. Like outside of those 2 non-conference to start the season, I think they could lose every game left on the schedule.
Yep.
Like I wouldn't feel comfortable picking them in any of those games because the games that the surefire games that I think they're losing are all at home. And the 2 or 3 that I think they could maybe win are on the road. And so you have the built-in disadvantage there with that. So it's just not a good situation. So I'm in complete agreement with you there on Arizona being my worst team. I think it kind of comes down to probably them and Colorado, maybe UCF. Like you had Colorado going 4-8. I think we kind of agree with UCF 4-8, 5-7. But yeah, I think there's a very clear path to 2-10 for Arizona.
Yep.
And I hate that for Noah Fafita, but that's just what I believe. Maybe I'll be wrong. But we'll move on. Sleeper team, Dalt.
I said that I've seen a path for them to go 9-3, and I believe that is Willie Fritz and the Houston Cougars.
Yeah.
I like the schedule. I like what he's doing at Houston. It's quiet. He's just gathering talent that fits what he wants to do, fits his culture. And Willie Fritz, like you said, has won everywhere he's won. He's made his teams competitive. He gets the most out of his guys. And I think there's a real good chance that he can thrive in Houston with what the resources they have around them and all the high school talent that's around him. Do not let Houston get rolling, or they will be a big problem.
Okay. This is bold.
Ooh, here we go.
TCU.
I like it.
And reason being, I can't sit here and tell you who exactly is on the roster. I'll be honest.
The
but
Hoover kid is a great athlete at quarterback.
I think because of the schedule being as tough as it is, that's why they're my sleeper team. Because what if they're pretty good and they beat 2 or 3 of these teams? Like, what if they beat SMU week 3? What if they turn around and the problem here, they go to Kansas State and Arizona State. Let's just say they win one of those games, beat one of them. Then really the only thing you got left is Iowa State, and the rest of them I would say are winnable games.
Mm-hmm.
And so that would put you at 9-3 ish. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I think they're going to beat SMU because I don't really, but I just think that I think there's a lot of potential with the schedule. So we'll see how it goes out.
They're a team that could really muddy the waters for the conference championship race.
Yeah, I mean, if they just win 2 out of their 3 games against Arizona State, Kansas State, and Iowa State, that could just throw and I don't know that that's going to happen, but I'm kind of predicting it just because I'm picking them as my sleeper. I feel like it's bold. I don't feel like anybody's talking about TCU. And, this is a team that played for a national championship, a program that played for a national championship just 2-3 years ago, and just has kind of fallen off a cliff, frankly. So I like TCU as my sleeper team. I like them. Give me the Horned Frogs. Disappointing team, Dalt. Who is your disappointing team in 2025?
Just because what they did last year was so just unheard of, you're going to have high expectations, and I just don't think you live up to them. And I think that's Arizona State. I think that you're picked to win the conference, and I think that there's a big spot for a letdown. I know that Jordan Tyson's a great wide receiver. Sam Levitt was good last year. But you're losing your offense. You lost your offense. And literally, the person that wheeled you back into every game you played is no longer there. You're not going to get that out of this Army transfer that you brought in to play running back. You're not going to get a guy that has CTE, is 4'8", and weighs 235 pounds of 2% fat. You're not going to get that. So I think Arizona State's going to be disappointing because of what. Not that I think that they're going to just be terrible and they're going to go 6-6 or whatever. But if you tell me that Arizona State goes 8-4, 7-5, that's a disappointing year for them.
Yeah. Okay. I was on them last year, Dalton, and this is where I'm going. Iowa State.
As your
And
disappointing team?
yep,
That has to hurt you a little bit. I
it
know how
it,
much of a Rocco Beck stan you are.
it does. But I think they start 1-2. I think they lose to Kansas State, and I think Iowa gets them because they've had trouble with them anyway. And so I think they get them. And things get a little smoothed out from there. Probably win 4 straight. But then I think maybe you maybe potentially lose your last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games.
Mm.
You got BYU, Arizona State, at TCU, Kansas, at Oklahoma State. I'm I just think it's kind of the sexy pick. Everybody likes Iowa State, Rocco Becht, and I do too. But I just could see it, them getting picked to contend for the conference championship. And you look up and they're 6-6, 7-5, and hitting the under. So I'm going to go with Iowa State. I think they don't have crazy expectations, which is typically a good thing for Matt Campbell. But I just don't. I don't know. I think it could just go awry. So we'll see. But I'm going to go Iowa State as my disappointing team. Who's your player of the year, adult, in the conference?
My player of the year is going to be a running back.
Okay.
Dylan Edwards
Ooh, nice.
wins player of the year.
Okay.
I think he's poised. I think he's poised to kind of be the lightning rod that makes Kansas State go. And in an offense where you have a quarterback who can also strike at any moment with his feet, they're not going to be able to just focus on the run game with the running back. Kansas State's going to be able to run the ball in unconventional ways, and I think they're going to get him the ball out of the backfield because he is just that good an athlete. So I think Dylan Edwards is going to be the player of the year.
Well, I'm going to stay right there in Manhattan, and I'm going to go Avery Johnson. I like him. I think he takes a big step this year. I think I like Kansas State a lot here in these next 2 topics that we're going to discuss as well. But I just think just the athleticism, the ability to run it and throw it, just a lot of the stuff that he can do. I think he takes, this is his 3rd year now in the system. I think he takes a big step, and I think he is the best player in this conference in 2025. And so with that, Dald, I'll ask you I'll just let you go ahead and tell me your championship game, and then give me your champion for the Big 12 in 2025.
My championship game. Screw it, I'm going to do it. Kansas State versus Houston.
Ooh.
And Kansas State wins the Big 12.
Man, that would be something.
Mainly because I do see Houston beating Texas Tech in Houston. I just want all you fucking Red Raiders to hear that.
Okay. Okay. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I'm gonna go Kansas State. That's probably chalk as chalk gets.
You're about to say Arizona State, aren't you?
Nope. Kansas State, Texas Tech. I'm gonna go Kansas State, Texas Tech. Right. I think I like Texas Tech maybe to go 10-2, Dalt. And I don't see why not. You got some tough games sprinkled in there. You do, you get Arizona State and Kansas State, but I don't think you say them as your disappointing team, and I don't think Arizona State's going to be as good. I really don't. I might have picked them as my disappointing team if you hadn't, because I just do think they're going to take a step back, and so I don't think that that's just an impossible task for Texas Tech to go into Tempe and win that game. They get Oklahoma State at home, they get BYU at home, they get Kansas at home. So really their toughest games outside of Arizona State are at Bright, Utah, and Kansas State, obviously. You like Houston there, and I would say kind of a trap game because it's coming off what a lot of people like Utah. So if they win that game, then Kansas kind of a middle of the road team that could, they could have a good record early October. So that could be kind of a potential big game in the Big 12. So you may overlook Houston a little bit. So I don't hate that from your perspective. But yeah, I like Texas Tech and Kansas State both sitting kind of in that 10-2 range for me as far as record goes. Kansas State maybe even better than that. I think Kansas State probably wins like the regular season championship, in my opinion. The schedule for them it's pretty favorable. So I'm going to go Kansas State, Texas Tech, and I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to take Kansas State to win the Big 12. We both picked one of their players as our MVP or whatever player of the year. And I just think with that combo of Edwards and Avery Johnson, they're gonna have defenses scrambling. And then Kansas State always has a wide receiver or two, and they just do all the little things right. Dalton, special teams, just they win the turnover battle most of the time, and it's just Chris Kleiman has kind of just continued right where Bill Snyder left off. Honestly, like could not have made a better hire for Kansas State. And so I like the Wildcats a lot to win the Big 12. So real quick, I'll recap these picks and we will get out of here, Dalt. So for your worst team and mine, we agreed Arizona. Your sleeper team, you had Houston. I had TCU. Disappointing team, you go Arizona State. I go Iowa State there. Player of the year, you had Dylan Edwards, running back at Kansas State. I had Avery Johnson, the quarterback at Kansas State. And your championship, you had Houston, K-State. I had Texas Tech, K-State. And we both like the Kansas State Wildcats to win the Big 12 in 2025. Not the hottest take, but, who knows?
With the Big 12, you don't. Seeing how we just picked Arizona to finish last, they're about to win the Big 12, and Noah Fafita is going to win the Heisman.
Yeah,
there you go.
Go ahead, mark it
down. Go put the money on black because if we picked them to finish last, they're about to win the conference.
I just want to take a moment to apologize to our good buddy BP, who probably won't even listen to the pod. We didn't have anything better to say about Oklahoma State than what we did. I tried. I want to.
Would you bring 31 players in from the portal? Like you just don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah. And so with that, Dalt, episode 88 comes to a close. We have finished our Big 12 2025 preview, and we will move into next week. We got 2 more left before we get into our Week 1 preview. We got the SEC and the Big 10, kind of the 2 big boys on deck. People won't like to hear that, but hey, it's just the truth.
It's the way the cookie crumbles.
I think we'll probably go Big 10. I think let's just save the SEC for last. Okay. It's the conference our teams are in. Let's just save them for last because we're just going to have the most to say about them. Mm-hmm. So we will be back in a week. Hope you guys are glad to have us back. We're glad to be back. Like I said last week, obviously, like and support the pod. Follow us on all social medias. You can find us Cover 2 Podcast, obviously on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, all the things. Interact with us. Let us know what you think of the show, what we suck at, what we could do better, what we're good at, all that. But Dalt, if you don't have anything else to add, we'll close the door on this Big 12 preview, get out of here, and we'll be back in a week for a Big 10 preview. So with that, we're out.
Don't forget to cover the flats.